Hello, I've done a couple of previous reviews on these kind of keychain pry bar thingies where I don't think I was very kind to these sort of tools, and I've sort of had to reconsider that position really. I'm a huge lifelong fan of Swiss Army knives. I just find them incredibly useful and think everyone should own and carry something like this. And at least at the moment in the UK, it is still legal to carry a sub 3-inch non-locking folding pocket knife, and I do that every single day because these are just so useful for little situations to help you out in innumerable ways. And I've always thought, well, if I've got a Swiss Army knife in my pocket with, you know, can openers, screwdrivers, blades, scissors, various other dead useful tools, then why would I want to carry one of these in my pocket? And I've argued that these are kind of useless and redundant. But I'm planning a trip abroad to a country where, as far as I can tell, it is illegal to carry any kind of blade with you whatsoever. And I also want to only take carry-on luggage. So that means no blades whatsoever. And I've heard mixed reports about carrying something like the Victorinox Jet Setter, which has no blade, but does have a little super handy pair of scissors on there. But I've heard differing stories from people saying that airport security people have just taken one look at a little Swiss Army knife and said, yeah, you're not taking that through. So I absolutely hate the idea of not having any little handy tool with me always, but I've had to reconsider my options. Number A, for airline travel where I'm not taking checked in baggage, just hand luggage. And number B, when I'm going to a country where even getting out a little Swiss Army knife or having that on me could potentially get me into trouble. It's just not worth the risk. So I've had to reconsider my options, and I've reconsidered looking at some of these little gadgets and another couple of options as valuable tools to have on you so that you've got something useful that you will be allowed to take on an aeroplane and that you will be allowed to carry in countries where any kind of blades are banned. So I've been kind of EDCing these for the last few days to try it, to see how I get on. And yeah, I'm gonna have to say I've got to reconsider and reevaluate my previous stance dismissing these as fairly pointless, because they're actually okay as an EDC item for when you're not allowed to have a little knife with you. So can I just have a look at the Gerber Shard and the Gerber Mullet first, as these two I've had for the longest. Gerber Shard, I've had it for years. I've never really used it. Look at it. It looks in almost perfect nick. I've tried to use it in the past, but it's virtually unmarked and hasn't been very well loved by me. I love the shape of it. I really like both of them as just objects. But in my days of carrying Swiss Army knives, I've thought, well, I don't need these. Well, I probably don't. But for when I am not allowed to carry my Swiss Army knife, these are pretty useful, really. And they're dirt cheap and they're light. And I do like that pretty much all of these things I'm going to look at, I do love that it's just a one-piece unit, a single chunk of metal that is still useful. These are both quite cheap. You can pick them up currently in the UK anyway for about sort of 10 quid for either of them. Stonewashed version of the Shard seems to be more expensive currently in the UK than the black one. And the black version of the Mullet seems to be more expensive than the stonewashed one. I prefer both of these in the stonewashed finish. I just think it looks better. But yeah, they're cheap. From most of what I've read online, people travel through airport security with these with no problem whatsoever, that's what I want to hear, really. I completely can envisage times when security guards are just going to say, you're not having that, mate. That's either leave that or go home, and we'll take these off you because they want to. It's still a chunk of metal that's pointy, isn't it? From what I've read, people get through security with these, no problem. On the Shard, you've got a bottle opener, a larger flathead screwdriver, a smaller flathead screwdriver. I haven't found these particularly great in use. I've got to say they're a little bit rounded, and I've found that they're not ideal for turning flathead screws, slotted screws. The ones on the Mullet are better, or at least on these two particular examples I've got, they're just a bit more clearly cut and more useful and work okay as slotted screwdrivers. The shape of the tool and the angle means that you don't want to be building a shed with them, do you? But they do work in a pinch should you need to tighten anything up. As pry bars, both of these, they're quite good. They're obviously really small. You're not going to be breaking down crates with them, but because of this angled section, they do work really well for leverage. If you need to poke, pry, and scrape and prod, they're absolutely fine for that. These have both got supposedly a wire stripper notch in there. which does have a little bit of a sharp bit on it. I am never going to strip wires with either of these. Can be used as a little nail puller as well. So yeah, that's okay. The Shard as well has a Phillips driver on the end, kind of 2.5D1. I haven't found this particularly good. It's not very well cut and tends to slip a bit. Again, the one on the Mullet is much better as a Phillips driver in my experience. It's slightly better cut. You can get some good purchase on that. You can get some good purchase on this as well, but this one tends to slip a bit more and this one doesn't. So that's quite a good little Phillips driver. Again, not as good as an inline Phillips driver because of the shape, but you can turn screws with that, no problem, it's fine. So that's what you get on the Shard. These bits as well can be used for cutting packaging open, packaging tape, tearing down boxes and things like that. So yeah, that's useful to have. Don't need a blade necessarily to open your parcels or whatnot, so that's fine. So that's not bad, the Shard, but it's not as good or effective or well made as the Mullet, which also has a bottle opener. Same kind of arrangement on the end here with the slotted drivers, nail puller. You get an extra like kind of scrape a bit there, which again I guess could be used as a slotted screwdriver. You could really get a lot of torque on that if you needed to, so that's fine. This one also comes with a pocket clip or belt loop clip where you would slip that over one of your belt loops and you can dangle off there, and you could attach your keys off it as well, I suppose. Not super secure, but that works. And the Mullet as well has a slot here for kind of hex driver bits, so if you were so inclined you could take some hex driver bits with you, and you've got an effective way of applying a ton of torque using standard driver bits. So out of these two, I would take the Gerber Mullet. It's just got a couple more features, and the drivers in particular work better on this one than they do on the Shard. Also got here a Kershaw PT-1, which I've just removed the plastic little scales off there just because I think it looks better without them, and it reduces the thickness and bulk a little bit. It's just a nice solid chunk of steel there, and I quite like this one. It's got fewer features. You've got a large bottle opener. On this end you've got a slotted screwdriver. It is a little bit chunky, this one. It doesn't get into flathead screws quite as easily as I'd like, but it does work. Got a lovely broad prying, scraping, prodding end on there. I really like that. That's good, that's useful, and it's really good for opening packaging and things, for scoring. And this tip as well can be used on Phillips screws. Again, it's not absolutely ideal, but it does work in a pinch. I think I paid, I don't know, I think I paid about eight quid or something for this. But yeah, it's a really solid little tool, quite weighty, useful, a number of functions. If you haven't got a pocket knife, a Swiss Army knife on you, not bad. There's the packaging, pry bar, bottle opener, screwdriver, lanyard hole. I think given the choice, I'd probably take the Mullet because it's got more functionality than this. But no, I do like that as just a single piece of metal that's useful. Another one I've just recently got is the Nite Ize Doohickey Plus Phillips screwdriver, ruler, nail puller, slotted screwdriver, scoring point, serrated edge there, bottle opener, wrenches in there, and a little carabiner clip on there. So this becomes the clip itself, which I found really good, because you can just clip it straight onto a belt loop or something, or you could bung your keys on there. That's good. So this seems fairly well made. Got a 2-inch ruler that side, or a 4cm ruler that side. Good for measuring small things. Might as well have it on there, haven't you? You got 3 different sizes of hex wrenches in there, which again, that's just making use of the space. You might as well have them. I like that. That's good. Carabiner itself is nice and strong. This serrated blade section, well, it's not sharp at all, but that could be easily sharpened up to make that much more useful as a cutting edge. Don't know if airport security would be as keen on this one because of that tiny serrated blade section there. I don't know. I think it was about 7 quid. It's not the end of the world if you lose it, but then you wouldn't have it with you, would you, when you were going on your trip? So I don't know about that. I've not gone through airport security with any of these, but I don't know if they'd take the hump because of that serrated bit there. The little slotted screwdriver parts on the end there, they work really quite well. That like tiny bit there, the scoring edge is slightly angled as well, and that makes a really good kind of box cutter. And the other really good thing about this one is that the Phillips driver is the best out of all of these. It's quite nicely cut. You can get some good torque on it. I guess this might bend, or this bit might bend if you put too much torque on it, but yeah, that's a really effective Phillips driver, and because it's on the end of the tool, it's kind of in line, so you can get some good screwing going on there. Really like this one. The other little one I got is absolutely tiny. It's dead diddy. I got this from AliExpress, and I think it was £3.34. And it says it's a titanium alloy crowbar. Jeez. It's hardly a crowbar, but it does feel like it might be some kind of titanium alloy. It's super light. I mean, it is tiny, but it's relatively super light. And I have tried to give this some fair whang in screws and that, and it's holding up pretty well, really. You got a bottle opener. Are they classing that as a nail puller? It's absolutely tiny. I'd prefer that if this was just squared off to make a better, absolutely tiny mini prodding slotted screwdriver on the end, but this works okay as a slotted screwdriver. You have got a little space there again for kind of hex driver bits. You get a driver bit in there, you can use that as a driver for any screw head that you care to carry the bits for. And the reason why I really wanted this one was because of the little Phillips on the end there, and that's nicely cut and it is effective. The only limitation with this one is because it's so small, you struggle to get a lot of power on it. Some really stubborn screws I've tried this on, you do struggle a bit to be able to get enough purchase on it, but it works for what it is. It works really well, and it's so light and so cheap because it's so small. Whack it on your keychain there, that's just going to nestle in with your keys and just hides away nicely. So if you're bunging your keys in your airport security trays there, I don't think anyone could really take offence to that little gadget on there, could they? So I think this would be an excellent bet as something to take with you, so that you've got a little selection of tools. The V's absolutely nothing at all. Just to say as well, the ends of this one, this does make a good package opener as well, because it's quite nicely cut there. I do like this one, even though it's absolutely tiny and was the cheapest. I'd also started thinking out of the box a bit more as well, and I've got a couple of these Victorinox Quattro screwdrivers that come in like the Swiss card things. I actually bought a few of these from online from a shop in Germany. I think they're about 90p a go, but that shop's since closed and I haven't been able to find anywhere where you can buy these on their own. But could something like this be enough just to have something on you? As screwdrivers, these do work okay. They're only kind of 2D, two different sizes of 2D Phillips, two different sizes of slotted screwdrivers that do work okay. I mean, again, it's tiny. You can only get so much torque on there, but they do work okay. You could use these as package openers. They work okay, and that is just so thin, so unobtrusive and light. That's on your keys there, look. No one's going to take offence to that. Even the grumpiest mofo of a TSA agent surely isn't going to take this off you. There's no bottle opener on there, but you can use virtually anything to open bottles, can't you, if you need to? So that could be an option as well. I don't know. What do you think? And then I also thought, well, what about one of the P38 or P51 can openers? I love these things. The ends here make okay slotted screwdrivers. You can use the corners to turn some Phillips screws. The metal isn't ever so strong or thick, so they can be prone to bend. I always bung a tiny little neodymium magnet in there to keep them closed, and it's also handy to have a magnet sometimes, potentially. But you fold the little thing out there, you've got a can opener. You might need a can opener if you're travelling to a foreign country. They might not have ring pulls, so you've got an ace can opener there. Could you use that to open bottles? I haven't tried that, and I've got no bottled beer to try all these can openers on, which is highly unusual, but I haven't got any at the minute. But maybe that could be used as a bottle opener. Don't know. Yeah, you've got a scraping, prodding little chunk of handy metal on you. If you take one of them, again, that would just sit unobtrusively on your keys there. They might see a fold-out blade and take that off you. I don't know. But again, carrying something like that is going to be better than carrying nothing at all, isn't it? So yeah, I've been carrying these as EDC for the last few days, and to be absolutely honest, it's been fine. Just having one of these about my person. Admittedly, I have been either at home or at work, so I've got access to other tools if I need them. But if I was going to a foreign country or on an aeroplane, I'd rather have one of these on me than nothing at all, because they are useful. They can be useful. Over here in the UK, yeah, I'll stick to my Swiss Army knife, thanks. But yeah, it's been fine carrying these. They're cheap, they're light, they're sturdy. What do you guys think to them? Okay, let's try these as box cutters. There's a Kershaw PT-1. Struggled a tiny bit on the edges, but yeah, perfectly fine for opening packaging there. Got the Gerber Mullet and the Gerber Shard. I'm just going to use the Mullet because it's generally just slightly better. Slightly sharper edges on these kind of tines here. So let's just see how that does opening this box. You can use that inner bit, I guess, to slide along, yeah. If you're struggling with the tines on the ends do seem to be the bits that are more problematic. You can slide that under and it does plough through there, no problem. That's great as a box opener. And on this rubbish little test, it's actually slightly better than the Kershaw. Let's try the Nite Ize Doohickey Plus. That cut through no problem, and that bit kind of got involved on the act as well, that serrated bit. Yeah, works fine on the edges. Yeah, good, works well. Those serrated bits help quite a lot with the edges of the box, which are harder to open. Let's have a go with this titanium alloy crowbar. Oh, my box is getting clogged up with tape. Let's try it on this side. Otherwise it's not a fair test. Yep, good. Okay, struggled a little bit with the ends there. Yeah, that's fine, it got through it. Let's try using the P38. You could fold the blade out, couldn't you, and use that. I'm sure that'll work quite well as well. Good. I'd have thought the opener part would work better on the edges. It's a bit awkward to use, but yeah, just the end of that section cuts tape really quite well, that's fine. And a little Quattro. Couple of options here, aren't we? Let's try that little slotted driver on the end there. Oh, that was like a knife through butter. That's good on the edges there, but you know, this is kind of splitting hairs, isn't it? You can pull the box open once you've cut the main bit. Let's just try it on this end. Yeah, it works. Maybe not as easy as some of the others just because of the tiny size of the thing. Yeah, not bad. It was really good through the tape on the surface. Let's have a look at driving Phillips screwdriver capabilities. Oh, these are posi screws. So before you comment saying they're posi screws, yeah, I know that. But these are the types of screws that I'll commonly come across. And these are what we're going to look at. So let's see how these cope with little posi screws. Kershaw PT-1. You angle it. Works fine. There's a little posi screwdriver. Nice. Gerber Shard. That's just really badly cut and it's slipping and it's knackering my screw. So if you apply a ton of pressure, it's okay, but that's quite hard going and that is going to knacker my screw. So yeah, the Phillips driver, I know they're posi screws, but the Phillips driver on this one, not dead impressed with. Whereas the Phillips driver on the Gerber Mullet, it's just much better cut and does a much better job on these posi screws. And while, again, I know these are posi screws, if I'm away somewhere and need to screw some screws in, then there's a good possibility that those might be posis then. So yeah, I need this screwdriver to be able to work with Phillips and posi screws. And that one does an excellent job. There's the Phillips driver on the Nite Ize Doohickey Plus. No problem at all. And the inline nature of it means it's really fast for screwing screws in. That's excellent. This is easily the best Phillips driver on test here. A little generic titanium alloy AliExpress jobby. That one also works well. It's a bit harder going, as mentioned, because of the size of the tool. But that works fine. Like I say, you're not going to be building an IKEA wardrobe with it, are you? I think they use hex bolts anyway. But yeah, you know, to have something with you to do an on-the-go repair, that works fine. A bit more fatiguing on the hands, like I say, because of the size, but that's absolutely fine. The little Victorinox Quattro screwdriver. Yeah, that's effective. Let's try the smaller one. Yep, again, that's really effective. Good. Let's try the P38 on a Phillips screw. Let's just use one corner there. It's not ideal, but it works. It's gnarling the metal up there quite easily. But yeah, that works. Not going to survive much of using it as a Phillips head or a posi head screwdriver, but yeah, that's worked. For slotted screws, let's try the Kershaw PT-1. Fine, that's good. That works well. Can you use that end as well? Yeah, that end works well as well. Again, that end is a little bit fat and chunky, so you have to apply some constant pressure to stop it kind of slipping out. But yeah, that works fine. You can use that end as well. Gerber Shard, let's try that. Yeah, that does work. Let's try the smaller driver as well. Yeah, that seems to fit okay in there. Yeah, that works all right. Just really disappointed with the Phillips Gerber Mullet. Large slotted screwdriver works well. And the small slotted driver works pretty well as well. Pretty good. Nite Ize Doohickey Plus. Let's go for that one. Yep, absolutely fine. Tiny titanium alloy crowbar. Yeah, that works well. Again, it's the size of it makes it less easy to use, but it does the job. Yeah, it works. Works fine. Victorinox Quattro, that's going to work absolutely fine. It does. As a little handy screwdriver, that's really good. Let's just try the P38 on there. little bit lengthy and it's going to scratch my light fitting, my faceplate if I'm not careful, but yeah, if you needed to, you can use that for turning flathead screws, slide screws. So yeah, unfortunately, I haven't got loads of bottles of beer here at the moment, which is a damn shame. So I can't test out the bottle openers. Almost anything can be used to open bottles, can't it? And I'm sure all these work fine as a bottle opener. Possibly not these two, but yeah, I don't know about that. And I haven't got any crates to prise open with these as pry bar functions. You're not going to be using those for that, are they? But any of these, even these... That's going to struggle, isn't it? And that to pry anything, but even this one. But any of these will be able to be used for any really light duty kind of prizing tasks. That's fine. That's not something I need to do constantly or anything, and certainly wouldn't be on a holiday or business trip or something, whatever. So just to summarise, I do like the Kershaw PT-1. Nice solid chunk of metal. Perhaps doesn't have as much utility as some of the others. Not as great for Phillips screws. The slotted driver could maybe just be a tiny bit slimmed out right there. Just a tiny, I don't know. Yeah, that works fine for what it is, and I do like it. I really like the shape of the shard, but this Phillips driver is just not very good. Not very well cut. I realise they were posi screws, but all the other Phillips drivers worked fine on them. This one didn't. So yeah, although those did just about work okay on the slotted screws, the Mullet's just better and has more features. So I would choose the Mullet definitely over the Shard. P38, I love these things. If you've got nothing else, carry one of those on you. You've got a dedicated can opener there as well. That could come in dead useful travelling to foreign climes. Victorinox Quattro screwdriver is a really decent little screwdriver, limited somewhat by its size, but that works really well as a screwdriver and packing tape cutter as well. So I like that. Super light, super tiny, cool. This little doobery, I really like this one. Dead small, meaning it's harder to use, but it does work and it works okay. Phillips or posi screws, flathead screws for very tiny prizing, prying, prodding, cutting, packing tape, bottle opener. Yeah, I really like that one. And the Nite Ize Doohickey Plus, yeah, that's excellent. Really cheap, really light. I love that it is a carabiner clip as well in and of itself. Yeah, really like that one. I would just be a little bit suspect that might be taken off your security purely for that little bit on there. I don't know. So it'd be great to hear any of you guys' experiences with these or any of these. So thank you ever so much for watching, and I hope you might consider subscribing to the channel if you like this, and I hope to see you in the next one. Good day to you. I said good day.